and she'll be talking on 68 gallium dotate 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 PET CT, a non-invasive method to tackle diagnostic difficulties in meningiomas of the optic nerve sheath.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Talking about investigations. This is yet another investigation which is slightly more expensive but an important one, and I'll tell everybody how. So, I'm going to talk about a non invasive technique to tackle the diagnostic difficulties in optic nerve sheath meningiomas. I have no financial disclosures. And before beginning, I would like to acknowledge my seniors and colleagues who helped me during the preparation of the talk. A little bit about meningiomas. They are the most common non-glial brain tumors in adults, affecting mostly women of increasing age group. These are benign cellular structures. And optic nerve sheath meningiomas is a specific subset comprising 42% of the optic nerve tumors. They are mainly slowly growing, arising from the meningothelial cells of the arachnoid layer of optic nerve sheath. And they mainly present to us with progressive, painless, diminution or loss of vision, proptosis, optic disc edema, and optic atrophy. Now, since they endanger the vision, therefore, reliable diagnosis is crucial, and for that, an accurate biopsy is a must. And as we all know, that optic nerve biopsies are very risky because they have the risk of vision loss and are technically challenging as well because of the location. So, therefore, a diagnostic tool which is non-invasive, specific, and sensitive is a need of the hour. MRI and CT scan have been useful, but DOTA-TATE definitely offers more specificity. Now, what happens is these optic nerve sheath meningiomas, they express somatostatin receptors on them, especially type 2. And when we inject the patient with the gallium dotatate radio conjugate, it binds to these receptors. And when the PET scan is done, then the radioisotope, which is the gallium 68, which emits the positrons, it really lights up the lesion. So the lesions get highlighted. And then we calculate it in terms of SUV, which in most of the studies has said that for meningioma it ranges between 4.3 to 68.7 with a cutoff of 14.3, above which the sensitivity and specificity is definitely much more. Having said this, we come to our first case, 60-year-old lady who presented with right lower lid swelling, forward bulging and diminution of vision for the last 3 years, no other significant history. She had a vision of 6 by 24, which was not improving on refraction. We can see that there is a fullness, proptosis of 2 millimeters, grade 1 RAPT, ocular motility restriction, colors and contrast were impaired on the right, and she also had these choroidal folds. Now, visual field showed these altitudinal field defects, and optic coherence tomography definitely showed more thinning of RNFL on the right. The radiology, as we can see, this is MRI T1 weighted, showing an ill-defined lesion encasing the optic nerve. And there's a typical tram track sign that we all know about on gadolinium enhancement. So our first diagnosis was optic nerve sheath meningiomas. But like, radiologists report, please correlate clinically, and therefore the other differentials are lymphomas, METs, schwannomas, pseudotumor, and then they write a line in the end, suggest biopsy. So that was a dilemma. Now, the patient was not willing to give any consent, which is understandable. She says that I came to you for vision loss and now you're consenting me for vision loss. And we tried to explain to her that it's a very risky area. And then she said, will I improve after this? So then we're like, no, this is diagnostic. So that's when this starts, because you may or may not be able to excise the lesion around the optic nerve. That is another thing that we have to keep in mind. So we came up with the ray of hope. That is a non-invasive alternative in the form of DOTA-TATE scan, and this lady revealed a somatostatin receptor positive lesion with an SUV maximum of 8.4, and this is her, which is very strongly suggestive of optic nerve sheath meningioma, and she was safely planned for external beam radiotherapy. And this is the lady 6 months down the line with no further deterioration of vision. Proptosis is reduced, edema has come down. Having said this, this was one case where optic nerve sheath meningioma was correctly diagnosed with DOTA-TATE scan. We did not do the biopsy, but this is a clinical radiological evidence that we have. Having said this, coming to case number 2, 47-year-old male with left eye proptosis, vision 612, left RAPD. Again, another lesion encasing the optic nerve. The diagnosis schwannoma, optic nerve sheath meningioma, lymphomas, METs. Now, the DOTA-TATE scan was only mildly avid in this patient. As we can see, it was very different from the one that we saw in the previous case. So the patient had to undergo biopsy, lateral orbitotomy, excision biopsy of the lesion. Patient was counseled well. He just wanted to get rid of this. His vision actually dropped from 612 to 636. He's slowly improving, and it came out to be a schwannoma. But what I'm trying to highlight here is that DOTA-TATE correctly ruled out meningioma in this case. So MRI and CT, they do aid in diagnosis, but they lack the specificity in differentiating optic nerve sheath meningiomas from other conditions like pseudotumors and lymphomas, which are common conditions in the same location. There are tumors which express somatostatin receptors like pituitary adenomas and neuroendocrine tumors, but their location is different even on MRI than what optic nerve sheath meningioma presents as. This is one of the largest series. It has 13 cases, and 10 out of these 13 cases it took up gallium scan, and all of these cases they were validated for meningiomas either with the help of biopsy or with a clinical radiological workup. This is one of the cases from their study. Again, we can see it's like a light bulb which just lights up. So there are a number of true positive cases where Grotatase has correctly identified meningiomas. There are two negative cases where it has correctly ruled out meningiomas, and there is one false negative case where it could not pick up a meningioma. But again, one must see that there was no false positive case, at least not that I am aware of so far. There can be false positive cases in cases where there's inflammatory changes or other tumors which have somatostatin receptors, but like I mentioned, the presentation on MRI is very different from how optic nerve sheath meningiomas they present. You can have false negative cases when the tumor is very small or the differentiation is very less. So DOTA-RADE is a non-invasive, very powerful, still underutilized tool, especially in intraorbital tumors. Our cases demonstrate that it has precision, and its non-invasive diagnosis of optic nerve sheath meningioma can really be helped with this scan. But I would conclude by saying that it is not a replacement for MRI. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Soni. So, can I conclude that your practice pattern has changed, that you have completely shifted to the PET scan?
Not in all cases.
Okay.
So, if the MRI says that it's an optic nerve sheath meningioma, and then they say, oh, patient needs a biopsy, then I would say for optic nerve sheath and lesions which are around the optic nerve, where you have high suspicion that it could be a meningioma, even if it is not following a typical tram track pattern, because it may not be following it,
When it's
then
like a
I feel
suspicious.
that instead of biopsy, if you ask the patient to go ahead for a PET scan and it lights up like this, and you just ask the patient to go for radiotherapy, I think that, and you're able to counsel the patient better, because there you're not touching the patient, because we all know that as orbital surgeons, at the moment you touch the patient, the expectation goes sky high, that you have done something to them, now some miracle should happen. That is one thing. Secondly, it is around 25,000 to 30,000 depending on the different centers.
So basically,
Yes.
your primary imaging modality
MRI,
preferable is
definitely.
MRI.
Definitely.
But then if you have a suspicious
Yes, yes.
lesion, then you prefer this.
We
Like
do it,
you showed
yes.
that very well-defined lesion, which is very typical of a schwannoma,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Or a meningioma, but
yes.
where you really don't need a PET scan to confirm it.
Yes,
But that's
again,
not in your practice, right?
So it was a schwannoma, but what happens is, at least in my practice, I'm seeing that patients, they always want something other than surgery. So their first choice is this should go away, but try not to do surgery. So this is what I've been, facing so far. And also whenever you tell the patient, oh, you will have vision, you can have vision loss with this surgery, then they say, oh, can you have another way of dealing with it? So it is also very medico-legally important if
So
something
in very
is present.
selective cases, you do
Yes,
this, right?
yes,
To conclude
yes,
it.
especially for
Okay,
optic
Santoshi.
nerve sheath.
Right.
Yeah,
So
right.
earlier we were doing the same in suspicious patients. Like we had last week, we had a patient who had optic nerve sheath meningioma, which had grown very rapidly, and also he had ocular motility restriction for some reason, right? So there, in optic nerve sheath meningioma, you don't expect to find ocular motility restriction. There we had a suspicion. That's one situation where we would do. But our radiation oncologist has currently started doing routinely in all patients where he has to give stereotactic radiation, because they find that it has very high sensitivity and specificity, and they don't miss the outlier tumors where they may end up giving radiation for a non-optic nerve sheath meningioma. So
So prior to radiation, this is like a
routine,
norm,
yes.
Yeah.
And also, second thing is that during follow-up, maybe I don't know whether you have seen that in your patients or not. After stereotactic radiation, 1 year later, if you do the same PET scan, the enhancement comes down drastically. That means that it's radiologically, metabolically, it has become inactive. So you can appropriately counsel the patient that, well, your disease has slowed down, and they may not be, like, the patients are apprehensive about what will happen next, that kind of a thing. Or if the lesion is extending just short of the chiasm, then we always have this worry that, oh, would it extend to chiasm? We have given full dose radiation. So those situations, I think it may help. So it needs to be studied in more detail, perhaps scientifically.
Yeah, I do have 7 patients case series from the UK when I was at Moorfields, and I have 4 out of 7 patients where the vision actually improved by 4 Snellen's lines, 3 months following radiation. So I think it is working well, especially in those cases where we have a dilemma that it could be a meningioma. I think PET scan is justified.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks.